Welcome one, welcome all. It's day 2 of the NCAA's favorite Division III early season tournament. It's the Frog Jump Invitational. Today live from Carthage College off the chilly lakefront of Lake Michigan at beautiful Tarble Arena. Hello everybody, I'm Peter Ferreri alongside Justin Coorigan for this Friday evening. I was about to say Saturday, I was a day ahead of myself. This Friday evening tilt between two of the absolute best in the nation. Let's start with the Firebirds. They came off a convincing win yesterday. Carthage, ranked number 8 coming into this week. They defeated Juniata, ranked number 5, in straight sets. As we look here at the CCIW preseason poll, Carthage, 4 first place votes, 24 overall. Of course, a lot's going to happen between now and the start of conference play. But everything is leading up, though, what we've seen so far, Justin, that Carthage is living up to that hype.
Yeah, and I think all 4 of those teams in the top 4, Carthage, Loras, Augustana, North Central, any of them can come away with the team title, especially Loras, the defending champs, Carthage just missing that championship in a great championship match last season. North Central stumbled a little bit under their first-year head coach, but they'll pick things up as the way it goes along. And then Augustana is kind of the newcomer to this discussion, but they're having a solid year so far. It's going to be interesting to see what things do as we get into conference play as things keep going.
As we look as well for the Firebirds, yesterday, the convincing 3-set sweep of number 5 ranked Juniata. The dust has settled a bit. We're 24 hours removed from it. What's the feeling, Justin? What's the vibe, as they like to say, about what Carthage was able to accomplish yesterday and Coach J.W. Keycafer's 100th win?
I think just on top of the 100th win being special as it is, this was a huge win for the program and a huge boost of confidence for this young squad. As Coach Keycafer mentioned in his post-game interview yesterday, this is a team that lost to Juniata last season, and is one of the 2 losses that kept them out of the tournament. They were the first team out by 0.1 on the power index, keeping them out, and that's been kind of the driving force for this young team's momentum this season. So to come away with a 3-set sweep over a team that beat you last season and kept you out of the tournament, huge boost of confidence and momentum heading into another very stacked roster on the other side of the net tonight in Stevens.
As for Stevens, let's transition there. And again, I want to give optimism and hope for the Firebird fans, but easier said than done. Juniata had only lost 1 set going into yesterday. They got swept by these Firebirds team. Stevens, the Ducks, they are having a season of seasons to start things out. They, in their first 5 contests, have not lost a single set. What have they done so well leading into this weekend?
I think it comes down strictly to defense. They are great at the net. They're great defending with digs, and in their back row is solid. And it shows when you look at the 15 sets they've played, only 4 of them they have let their opponent get over 20 points. So just a commanding defense, an efficient offense has led to a dominant start for this Stevens team.
And their last victory at Rutgers Newark, they only allowed Rutgers Newark to get over 20 points once out of the 3 sets. They have done quick work of all their opponents so far. However, the Firebirds, they got Big Uncle Mo in their corner right now, and that's the momentum. You know, they even admitted, they being head coach J.W. Keycafer, he even had the conversation with us yesterday in the postgame show. That one loss that Carthage had last week against Cal Lutheran, they were tired. They just came off a very big win against the Banana Slugs of UC Santa Cruz. They just couldn't adjust in time. They're at home. Crowd's going to get loud. The swings in the serve-receive are going in their favor. Carthage absolutely has a chance tonight.
Absolutely, and we're already seeing this crowd start to fill up a bit. It's going to fill up even more. Maybe not so much student-heavy as they're now on break, ending J-term, getting into spring semester, starting next Wednesday. But we're still seeing a lot of Carthage parents here, some Stevens in the crowd, even some Baldwin Wallace hanging around from their game just a few moments ago. So this crowd's going to get loud, and it's going to favor the Firebirds for the most part.
That they are. We are going to turn it over momentarily to PA address announcer Eric Elger to talk us through the starting lineups and more. Stevens, number 3. Carthage, number 8. Turning it over to Eric right here on the Firebird Broadcasting Network.
sophomore from Los Gatos, California, number 21, Alex Olcott. And an outside hitter, the 6'4" senior from Clifton Park, New York, number 23, Tyler Christensen. The head coach for the Ducks is Dan Geary, assisted by Michael Burkhart, William Foley, and Daniel Perry. And now then, it's time to meet your Carthage College Firebirds!
And welcome into the broadcast booth. I'm Peter Ferreri alongside Justin Coorigan, excited to bring you a huge matchup with postseason implications. Let's look at the starters for the Firebirds. Hendricks, you're outside. Nolan getting the start in the libero position. Maury setting once again in the starting position. Your opposite's going to be Ben, the Heist man, Heist. Schweitzer getting your start in the middle block alongside Cholowinski, and the automatic one, Owen Otto, going to be your starters for the Firebirds against Stevens. Carthage wearing the home black jerseys, white numbers and letters, black trim. Stevens and the Ducks wearing the road maroons with white numbers and letters and black trim. The hype is up. The hype is real. One team's going to walk away this evening with win number 6. Carthage might have loss number 2. Stevens might find their first loss of the season. Let's talk strategy really quickly before the first serve. What does Stevens have to do to continue their winning ways on a high level this Friday evening in Kenosha?
I think they need to keep playing consistent, solid defense. They are one of the best defensive teams in the country. Bringing up the stats here really quick, they are averaging 10.5 digs per set. and well as 2.5 blocks per set. So they are one of the most solid all-around defensive teams. They don't make mistakes. They don't hit all that inefficiently, with a hitting percentage at .355. For comparison, the Firebirds hitting at .297 on the year. They're averaging only 11.5 kills per set though, so a little bit less than you'd expect on the offensive end, but they make up for it on the defensive end.
Carthage, one thing that has happened this year, they have been so clean at the serve-receive line versus years past. They allow their teams that opportunity to play on. It's not all just power serves. That's one of the reasons they were able to take advantage of those service errors and that differential with Juniata just 23 hours ago. Stevens, again, one of the absolute best in the nation. We mentioned that postseason implication. We'll get more on that throughout the contest. And we are underway as Christensen rolls it over the tape. Playable for the left side. Up high by Christensen on the return. Near pin, blocked down, that's in. First point for the Firebirds.
Absolutely great block there. And going back to what we were talking about serve receive, this is a team that was putting up clean first passes to the setter all night long. Juniata came in averaging over 2 aces per set. They had 2 all night. The Firebirds were dominant in serve receive and made them pay for the multiple service errors.
Float served by Maury. Picked up by the libero. And that's going to be Ho, but another point for the Firebirds. Not the start that Stevens quite wanted. We're only 2 points in. But to mention the libero, Fukui Ho is wearing the white libero jersey this evening for the Ducks. Double block. That's one area that Coach Kiekefer said they want to work on, is that net presence and that bick. And right now, sloppy play by the Ducks, a quick 3-0 lead for the Firebirds.
This is exactly what we saw Carthage do last night. Get out hot, get out fast. Make this team, who has not played yet this weekend, make them a little uneasy on the road, dealing against this home Carthage crowd.
Float over again by Maury. That'll stay in. Nolan a step above where that shot was. And again, good positioning by Nolan. That's a situation as we see the bench for the Ducks finally standing up. It looks like their ritual is they maybe pretend they are ducks or aquatic creatures before getting to their feet. But I'm always entertained by some of the sideline antics. And point given right back, a service error by Sebastian Hique out of San Juan, Puerto Rico. 4-1 for the Birds.
I was getting tadpole vibes.
Oh, tadpole,
maybe salmon
okay.
Swimming upstream.
Now I want some fish.
Ooh, that sounds good.
Nice set near side, high off the block. Not able to get there in time is Hendricks, and that's just that Stevens power on the near pin, backed within 2.
Absolutely. Block came up a little bit late, and Power was able to pop it right off the top of the block's hands. Hendricks just couldn't quite get there.
Slower topspin serve, back set, rolling through, not able to get there. Nice job coming through the lefty again. The Iceman, Ben Heiss. Things really favoring the Birds early on in set number 1.
You got to wonder how Stevens wait before having to break a timeout.
Three-point lead, right hand serve over, and that's going to be an ace. Owen Hendricks, 4-point lead for the Firebirds. We may be another point away from Stevens needing a timeout.
The coaching staff.
Hop serve with the right hand. Stevens over the middle. Oh, nice one set. Greg Lee, the middle blocker, delivering. Play to the left side, off the left arm, not able to get there is Heike. 7-3 your score.
Another great side out there for the Firebirds, forcing it on the defensive end. That's the one thing they need to do all weekend. So we try and get them back in the win column once again.
Out of play it goes. Stevens back to within 3.
And again, service errors seem to be and we mentioned it a lot last night, the live by the serve, die by the serve. Whoever seems to have the more service errors seems to be the one that falls short in these matches. We saw with Juniata last night. Baldwin Wallace in the match before this had more service errors and couldn't pull it out against Juniata.
Nick Schmidt rolls it over. High set, just happened to be in the right place at the right time. Was Schweitzer in the starting lineup this evening from the Bick and delivering down. Owen Hendricks, the heartbreaker. Birds going blow for blow with the Ducks.
And that back row attack from the Big is something Coach Kiekever mentioned last night he wanted to fix. He was not happy with how it went last night. It was one of the few things he said didn't go well for us. Seemed like a great start there.
Oh, the slightest of hand, the right idea, out of play it goes. Owen Hendricks, he had the defense fooled for the Ducks, just couldn't quite get it where he wanted.
Yeah, just a bit too much finesse. Pulled that one just off the line.
Top spin serve.
Beautiful
Hendricks
serve.
able to get it. Back to Hendricks, poked underneath. And that's going to hit the ground regardless. Stevens back to within 2. So the Ducks are now saying, okay, we've seen what this Firebird team is going to send at us. Ruben Emmerich in the game now. Didn't see him a lot last night. Already getting some reps early on. Left wrist taped for number 12. Bit too far. Solid attempt for Alex Alcott out of Los Gatos, California. The 6'3 sophomore, one of the best serve specialists in the nation. Picked up by Ho. Near side. Playable from the back set from the Bick. Ricochets Hemrick. Having to keep it in play is Hendricks. Dive yet again. Stevens firing on all cylinders. The lefty off the triple block. Picked up once again. Can Hemrick and the Birds deliver off the double? Huge dive in the back row. That stays in. What a point on the long rally for the Birds.
Absolutely beautiful block there for the Firebirds. And we are seeing two of the best defensive teams on display, and you saw it there on both ends of the net. If you can protect the back row, you're going to get stops. You're going to get points.
Schweitzer, the freshman, getting some key swings from the service line. Punching it over. Good job by Ho to keep the rally alive. That's going out of play. Carthage now up by 5. It was down to a 2-point lead, 8-6. A 3-0 run, just what the doctor ordered for the Firebirds, and we indeed are going to have a timeout by the Ducks early on in set number 1. Again, Stevens Institute, they have not lost a set all season, but I don't think so far on paper at least they've played a team with such fortitude as the Firebirds have early on in this season.
Yeah, I would tend to agree with that. This Carthage team right now, they're firing all cylinders. Last night and into this set, you're seeing them play some of the best defense we've seen them play all year against some of the best teams in the country. So for Stevens, they got to figure out how to keep it playing clean. They're playing very clean defense. They just got to find a way to find those holes, find the seams to be able to start getting points to get back into the set.
11-6 your score. And you know, one thing, and Justin, you do such a better job than I with expounding on the postseason implications. You may say to yourself, it's only the final day of January. What does that mean? Please explain to those at home how the wins and losses versus teams like Juniata, teams like Stevens last year came into postseason play or the ability to make the postseason for the Firebirds, and how last night and tonight come into play this season?
Yeah, so obviously you get you get an automatic bid if you win your conference tournament. Obviously, as we mentioned in the pregame, the CCIW is very challenging. Firebirds last year came up just short against Loris, did not get that automatic bid, and then it came down to how good do you do against teams against your region, and how well do you play against teams out of your region, which you see a lot early on in tournaments like this. Last year, Carthage fell short to Juniata in 4 and lost to New York in 5. And those 2 losses this early in the season are what kept them out of the tournament by 0.1 on the MPI index. Beautiful serve.
Almost an ace for the Firebirds. Lefty trying to bring it down, couldn't find it. Resetting up the attack now are the Ducks. Ho, far side, lefty over the triple. Schmidt comes up short again. Emmerich with the float over. Can the Ducks take advantage? High return. Emmerich with that directional set again, 12-12 action. Once again, Schmidt trying to deliver. Re-establishing the set. Huge dive out of play with the uppercut. Schmidt again, down and in. I felt that a point was going to come from one of the 12s. That one comes from the Ducks number 12. Ryan Schmidt, the Oppo out of Easton, Connecticut.
And the dive on that play, I believe it was Nick Schmidt going all the way almost into the scorer's table to make that play happen, keep the point alive. Got to go back, though. I believe we have a pause, maybe for blood, as Hendricks heads towards the trainers, looking at that right forearm elbow. But going back to that last play on the Firebirds end, obviously point didn't go their way, but Emmerich made 2 smart plays back-to-back where he was out of position to take a swing. So instead of trying to push to the back line, he found where their setter was at to try and get Stevens out of position. And that's what you have to do in that. So you're forcing the libero to set up. You're forcing another back row specialist. Get them out of sync offensively to try and force them to make a bad swing to get your block set up properly. Smart decisions just didn't pay off there after a beautiful save for the Ducks.
So the right wrist now being taped. Not sure where the contact came in. Could have been from one teammate to another, both trying to dive for it. But with that being said, making his way back out of the court. Good to see that they didn't necessarily charge the Firebirds with a timeout. If you're a Firebirds fan, you know, kind of an injury timeout or make them sub.
And I think that comes down to they only get a certain amount of subs, as is in volleyball, whereas, you know, maybe you would have seen him go out in another sport, a basketball, a soccer, football.
Sure.
Where they can re-enter with no problem.
From the Bic, 007, Owen Otto, the sophomore out of Hartford, Wisconsin. And that's one thing that Coach Kiekefer said wasn't that successful last night. Good to see it showing its presence early on in this game.
Yeah, and you're seeing Owen Otto swing with more confidence from the Bic than we saw last night. His swings were kind of just forced. You didn't see the snap of his wrist as much. They were pushing back line a lot more. He's being a lot more aggressive right now, and it's paying off.
Back set off Cholowinski. Jammed the fingers slightly again, potentially. We saw it last night at the conclusion against Juniata. High back set. Can Cholo close the block? He couldn't in time. And he's holding that right hand again. Stevens back to within 4.
Yeah, he definitely felt that one on his wrist. He is favoring that hand. And he came up offensively there on the right side of the net, and good transition by the Ducks to push it to their far end, keep him out of position. It's hard to go pin to pin when you're a middle block like that.
Float serve. Hendricks looks for Cholo, looked fine on that swing. The overpass. Ducks try to recalibrate. Ho, off the doubles. Nice turnaround by Otto, but not able to get enough behind it. Stevens back to within 3.
One thing the Ducks have done incredibly well so far in this first set is even when they get caught out of position defensively and they have to one hand punch it up, hit it in a weird way, off balance, the ball is going perfectly to where someone can still set them up offensively. And it's paid off a couple different times here tonight.
From the Bic. Back set. Oh, just the presence. Kobe Sherman, the 6'6" senior out of Sunnyvale, California, and the Ducks within 2.
It was a beautiful play by Sherman. He gets it off the block. He goes right back up. He doesn't even bother to get reset. He just goes up again and gives probably the hardest swing we've seen tonight.
From the Bic, hits the tape. Ducks recalibrate. That stays in as well. Kobe Sherman, Kiekefer might need a timeout as Stevens back to within 1. It is a 5-1 run for the Ducks. No touch. That was one of the more unique Ducks, and not players, but ability to get out of the way. How about dodge? Just he jumped into the air and then kind of whoop, shrugged the shoulders. Hendricks got out of the way, and now he has the serve.
Maybe more of a dip.
There you go.
Just going through the 5 Ds of dodgeball.
Yeah. From the Bic, Cholowinski thought he might have had an opportunity to hit a hand. He did not. And the Ducks back within 1.
That's one I think he overswung on it just a bit. Didn't get the timing right. It came off the end of his hand on the far side. Pushed it too far right and too far.
Opportunity to tie. Nolan with the overpass. Net presence for the Ducks. We are tied at 13.
Those overpasses, just a mistake you can't make against a team this good defensively, especially at the net. Nolan's pass just a little too far, and he was great all night last night on getting that ball right where he needed. That one just a little too far, and the Ducks made him pay.
Carver Wyrick had the serve. The back set, left hand down and in. Way to answer back by Ben Heiss.
Heiss had a bit of a quiet night last night, but great swing there.
Oh, so they flipped the score. I'm not quite sure. They might have overruled and said...
In the net, maybe? I would have to guess. Let's take a look at the replay here.
That's not that play individually. They're saying an attack. So the official ruling is attack error by Ben Heiss. So we're waiting to see if we have footage of that. 14-13 your score. A huge turn of events as it is now an 8-2 run for Stevens. And again, the overpass by Nolan was one of the prior plays, so I don't believe we have footage of that. But with that being said, everything was coming up Firebirds in Carthage, and the next thing you know, Stevens says, not so fast, and the errors that Carthage has displayed, very uncharacteristic in these last few points.
Yeah, and I think Stevens has done a great job of staying calm and taking advantage of that. They're facing a young Firebirds team. They know they're going to make mistakes from time to time, and it's just patiently wait, find your opportunity to take advantage of those mistakes, and they have on multiple occasions so far to help build this rally to take the lead.
Earlier today, Juniata took on Baldwin Wallace, the early game of the Frog Jump Invitational. From the left side, and that's the 2-kill that the Birds have been looking for. Owenato delivering the blow. Serving now, Jack McDonald, one of the rotational liberos, the senior out of Vernon Hills, Illinois. McDonald can't get underneath it. And Stevens regains the lead.
Great roll shot there for, I believe it was Alex Olcott. Well timed, he saw the block coming, just rolled it right over, found the spot in the middle of the court that was wide open.
Greg Lee to serve out of Valley Christian High School. No libero on the court currently for the Ducks. Nolan the libero for the Birds answers back. Nolan gets the right hand underneath it. What a turn of events. Tyler Hoke, the middle hitter out of Mechanicsburg, Pennsylvania, has given the Ducks the biggest lead of the evening for them, 16-14.
And that there defensively for the Firebirds just got to communicate who has that seam. I think Hendricks might have been a little bit better of a position.
The back set pushing through. Point's going to go to Stevens. Coach Kiekefer, so one of the line judges said it hit the pin, and we're going to have a conversation now with the line judges. So they're claiming it hit the pin, but what touch of that pin caused it to go over? So the officials today, again, top officials in the Midwest, and they are switching the point. So the R1, Julie Vec, had a conversation with line Scotty Prox and Peter Thomas, overruled, went to Carthage. I believe that's the right call.
Yeah, I think so. It was tough to see from here if when the swing came, if it hit off the top of the net or off the head of the defender. I thought it went off the head of the defender, and apparently that's what went with it. And you see there, it hits the tape and goes off the forearm of Olcott, before
last
rolling
touch.
into the pin.
Very good call. Olcott was indeed the latch touch. Great job by our replay operators tonight. Able to deliver exactly what we were looking for. Olcott sends that one out, and just like that, the Birds have tied the Ducks at 16. Serving now for Carthage, number 9, Joey Kolwitz. Kolwitz 3 aces on the season. Oh my goodness. That is power personified. Kobe Sherman yet again.
Sherman just put a rocket into that ball and found the inside of the line. Yeah, I'm not going to find a much better swing on an opportunity like that. Schmidt now on the serve.
Nolan. High pass left side. Emmerich sails it a bit too far, and Stevens gets those 2 points right back.
This Carthage team just seem to be pressing a little too hard right now. You're seeing it more on the first passes, on the swings, just a little too strong on each. Stuff, again, we weren't seeing quite as much last night. And only hitting .038 in attack percentage at this point.
Yeah, very uncharacteristic for the Firebirds. Getting the point, just powering through is Schweitzer. Schweitzer, again, the true freshman out of Middleton High School. Back to serve is the sophomore, Owen Otto, a young Firebirds team. Blocked back by Emmerich. Over the middle, Joust, playable. Tip back down, and another point by Carthage. Emmerich just kept leaving his feet at the absolute perfect time. It's just a 2-for-2 deal now, 2/3 of the way through set number 1.
This is exactly kind of back and forth battle we were expecting out of these top 10 opponents.
Off the block side rotation. Playable for the Ducks. Back set. Underneath it is Heiss. That'll stay in. Owen Hendricks. Carthage has regained the lead on a 3-0 run. Moving that hit percentage ever so slightly up, and sometimes that's all it takes.
That's a great read. It's a difficult read for Hendricks to make there. The ball's coming from Nolan from behind Hendricks, and he makes the read as that one goes into the net. Costly service error for Owen Otto. But a great read for Hendricks on that to know where the open look is with a double block that he really can't see coming because he's got to focus on the ball coming over his shoulder.
Olcott. Deadly serve. All knotted up at 19. Who will be the first team to reach the red zone? Left side, Hendricks. Overpass. Brought back in, and they're saying point for the reach over. by Hudson Schweitzer. Again, getting some reps, much more today than last night. Stevens, 20, Birds, 19.
We got cases pleading from both the Carthage captain and Coach Kiekefer with the R1 and R2, neither winning the argument.
Set to the left side, Hendricks tries to collect himself. Double block down and in. Tyler Hoke decided to pass it. I thought he may have pulled the trigger on a second touch. Nonetheless, tied at 20.
That might have been a smarter move. Carthage was already rotating towards that outside spot. But the way that block has been doing, I think I would have pulled the trigger.
Side swipe by Ho. Back set. Playable. Good job by Kolwitz. Trying to recover off the triple block. Right hand uppercut. Kolwitz finds it. Hendricks down. Hendricks kill. The Rocket gives the Birds 1 point more toward their need of 25.
What a play all around there. Great save by Otto. Kolwitz with an off-balance serve that is beautifully put on the mark. And Hendricks puts it away.
Schweitzer with the high swipe. Kolwitz back sets. Chicken wing. Kolwitz back row for Otto. Switch to the uppercut and two Firebirds run into each other. It was a sloppy free ball rally for both teams. Ducks tied at 21.
And that's something the Ducks do really well, is even when it gets sloppy, they recover so well that it's almost like they're not even making a mistake and they're still able to get good looks.
Serving now, Tyler Hoke, the 6'7" junior. From the Bick, just out of play. One official says in, one says out. R1 overrules. Stevens needs 3 for set number 1.
I think that's the right call there. That was just a few inches off that back line.
Yeah, I appreciate that from our camera view. The left line judge said, yeah, it was on the right side of the line. If it stays in, your right line judge said, yeah, but it went too far. Great job communicating in R1, getting the right call. Backspin, but playable for Hoke. Set over, Nolan. Birds looking to tie. From the Bick, that'll stay in. The tape, the best friend of the Birds, and Owen Otto tied at 22.
Otto had to come flying in and almost barrel rolled it through the net. Able to stop himself just short. Great swing.
Maury the setter. Overpass. Down. Roof by Cholowinski. And for all of your roofing needs, go to Cholowinski and Associates. Birds within 2 of set 1 victory.
And that is where having a 6'8" middle blocker is going to help you every day of the week. Just getting up big, no overpass is safe.
Yeah, and what you and I were kind of discussing, regardless of if Cholo's hand's hurting, if you have the presence to block and the ability to tip it over, hey, you know, we don't need you to swing hard. We need you to just be present. And he's able to do so and do everything he can to help the Birds take the first set against Stevens this entire season. Now, yesterday you and I had the conversation. Juniata had played more games than Carthage, so we felt that may be something that potentially favored Carthage. Here today, both teams 5 wins, as even of a match as we're going to see. Wouldn't be surprised if it goes 5, but I appreciate the resiliency right now by the Firebirds. They had the lead. Lead was relinquished. Huge run by the Ducks. Carthage, battle back, and they're up by 1.
Yeah, and I think, you know, it's easy for a young, inexperienced team to see the 3 in front of that Stevens name on the scoreboard and kind of panic when you go down a couple points. This team has not done that all weekend long. They keep battling, they keep fighting. Now they're 2 away from a set win, the first potential set win of any opponent of the Stevens Ducks.
23-22. Birds need 2 to hand Stevens their first lost set of the season. ISO over the middle. Cholowinski couldn't get under it. And the Ducks offense really spread the Firebirds thin. And they will have the serve, both teams at 23.
That was one of the hardest swings we have seen all invitational so far. This is what you want to have, though, out of a matchup like this. Early set, back and forth.
Hayke with the service ace. 2 quick points for the Ducks, and Kiekefer needs the timeout. Hayke coming in, that is his first ace of the season at a perfect time for Stevens.
I think he needs to send Hendricks and Nolan a thank you card for that one. That is a mistake you cannot make in a match like this, in a tight set like this late. Just miscommunication on who had the seam. Once again, we're seeing those mistakes kind of creep their way into the Carthage back row today. We didn't see anything of that last night or for most of their trip in California.
24-23. The Ducks will have the serve with an opportunity to really stun Carthage in set 1. And the reason I say this, you may say to yourself, okay, well, Stevens had the point at 1 lead, or at more than 1 point, but Carthage just kind of felt like they were getting the momentum in their favor late, but these 2 quick points has immediately pulled that back. So if you're Carthage right now, you're not worried about getting a 25. You need to get 24. You need to force extras where anything can happen.
Exactly. Just keep forcing. The most important point is the next one.
1 point lead for the Ducks. A crucial evening in Kenosha. The nightcap of the Frog Jump Invitational. And the serve, once again, will go to Sebastian Hayke out of St. Mary's High School. Lefty floats it. Pinball's off to rafters. Ho able to track it. Can the Birds capitalize? Down, in, Owen Hendricks. The King of Hearts guarantees extras already in set number 1.
He's getting a little nervous there when that ball was bouncing around after rafters. I think it gave 1 bounce too many to throw Stevens off. Carthage able to transition that, though, into a great swing.
Ho sends it high. Near pin, double block, and just a unfortunate turn for Ryan Morey. His weight was a little bit shifted, as it should be, inward. It went outside, just slipped a bit. Stevens once again at set 1 point.
Yeah, Morey was already starting to transition into position to either make the play or get ready to set the ball up for the offensive end. Unfortunate, just change of direction.
Otto down. Pinballs again, tracked again. Block, unsuccessful, and Stevens takes set 1, 26-24, a 4-1 run for the Ducks to end set 1.
Yeah, not much you can do for Carthage on that one. You got everybody up, just the timing just a little out of sync. Ball came down on the Carthage side of the net, ending set 1 very quickly in extras.
We'll take a timeout. Set 2 coming your way shortly. Ducks, Birds, on the Firebird Broadcasting Network. Welcome into set number 2. It took extras for both of the top teams in the nation to find a victor, and that went to the Ducks. Teams have switched sides. Stevens picking up right where they left off. Huge kill by Heike.
I think there on that opening play describes what happened in the back half of that set for the Firebirds. The Ducks have done a great job of not making mistakes, and when they get out of balance, they recover so fast that they're able to make a play out of it.
On the slide, over the middle, dive yet again is Bone. Still underneath it, the resiliency of Stevens coming to play. And that's something, the dives that you saw there to keep that rally going, one or two less of those in set number 1, it's all birds.
Absolutely, and going back to what I was just saying, if you take those dives, what Stevens doing well is they're getting swings off of those. They're rarely sending free balls over, and it's keeping Carthage on their toes defensively, and they're making plays out of it.
Ace! Birds up by 1. What an ace by Owen Hendricks. His 7th ace of the season, tied for the lead with Owen Otto.
And it's been, the Owens tonight have been the X factors so far for the Firebirds. Both Hendricks and Otto been dominant.
Picked up by Nolan. High set near side, jousting through. Back set, and that's the presence of Kobe Sherman. We saw him do those type of plays multiple times in set number 1. His awareness and vision when lined up at the net is truly one of the best in the country.
And he's made a couple really smart decisions quickly here in the first set. His ball comes up, he's not even worrying about setting up the play, he's just forcing it over and overpowering this defense.
Pass back in, the triple block. And another point, that time Philip Bone, the 6'1 junior out of St. Louis, Missouri, went to Slough High. A little 2-0 run for the Ducks. Nice job ducking out of the way is Owen Otto. I mean, I don't know many that would have leaned away from that one. He just ducked underneath it from the kill from the Ducks, and that was close. Top serve by Cholo. Over the middle. Not sure if it even cleared the tape, but nonetheless, Firebirds will, oh, it did clear, it did go down. So Stevens does come away with the point. I didn't quite see where the official was pointing at the beginning.
It was a great swing there by Greg Lee.
Back set. And a violation called against Stevens, and we're tied at 4.
I believe it was an in the net coming off the block. Still a great swing though for the Firebirds there. I think it would have been going their way either way.
Yep. 4-4 your score. Just a little bit of a lean away rollover. Firebirds should be able to take advantage, and they do. Nice awareness by Ruben Emmerich, the senior out of Middleton, Wisconsin, and one of the Middleton boys, we'll call him. Between Heiss, Schweitzer, and Emmerich, all former teammates together at Middleton High School. Playable for Carthage. Directional set, a little bit of miscommunication at the front. Nice pickup by Hendricks in the back row. Emmerich trying to redirect. Not much you could do against the outstretched arms of the 6'6 Sherman. Birds and Ducks tied at 5.
And there's another costly mistake for the Firebirds there. You get a rare free ball from the Ducks, and the timing just not quite right from setter to hitter, having to send a free ball right back over, and the Ducks made him pay.
Well, right now, Stevens, 4 service errors to the 2 for Carthage. So Firebirds have tried to take advantage of as many errors as possible. I don't want to say I called it, but I could quite have possibly jinxed Stevens.
Maybe a little manifestation there.
Nick Schmidt out of Scotch Plains, New Jersey. I was commending Stevens for their low amount of service errors this evening, and answering right back were the Birds.
Both teams up until that point really hadn't made a lot of costly errors at the line, as they trade errors right there. Can we go for 3 in a row?
Bone. Back row, Nolan picks it up. The high back set, Emmerich down. Emmerich, nice kill for the senior. Again, a huge impact in today's game. We didn't see him much yesterday, but absolutely vital for the success of the Firebirds this Friday evening.
You have to think that's almost a matchup choice by Coach Kike for yesterday against Juniata. Give him a little rest. Know he's going to be needed more today.
Left side block back, that stays in, but it hit the antenna on the way back, so luck be a lady for Stevens this evening.
I think that one went off the hands of the blocker,
Yeah.
off the antenna, off the face of the blocker, and then down.
It hit a few different places.
Oh, pinball wizard.
Stevens now up to a 246 attack percentage. Carthage hovering right below 200. In to serve that time was Christensen. Haven't said his name much, and miscommunication as Christensen tried to slide at the last minute on the ground, but wasn't able to do so.
A great tip there and a tip up. Forced a self-induced campfire kill on the Ducks. Rare miscommunication there for the Ducks. They've been excellent at that tonight.
Ryan Morey out of Redwood City, California. One of the setters and had the serve. Left hand Hendricks. Blocked back by Cholowinski.
Yeah, I believe it went down on their
excuse
side
me.
of net.
You are correct.
Cholo just a little too far off the net there. Got a great block on it. Got his hands on it perfectly, but just couldn't quite push it over enough. It went straight down on the north side of that C on the ground.
Tied again at 8. In now at libero. So Ho is currently not in. In is Jesse Knuckles out of Warren Township. And an ace. Sebastian Heike. And the Ducks up by 1.
And that's one you just kind of got to live with as the Firebirds. That one's so close to the line. You're positioned in a spot where you kind of just got to make the choice, let the coin flip, and see where it lands.
And Heike gives the point immediately back. Again, you take the points any way you can. Carthage absolutely benefited 24 hours ago from the serve-receive errors of Juniata. Blocked back by Cholowinski. Is it still playable? It is. Nice concentration for the Ducks. Cholo tries to answer back. Sent over the net from the Bick. Side swipe, Heike. On the right side, triple block, flipped up again. And the awareness of Sherman. Coach Kiekefer not happy and just uppercuts that off to the side. And Stevens up again by 1.
Sherman again, just smart reaction, quick, fast trigger reaction on the offensive end. The senior has not averaged below 3 kills a set in his entire career at Stevens.
The back set, lefty. Sailing it way too far. A rare miss by Sherman.
That might have been a bit of an adrenaline swing there after the excitement of that last kill.
So McDonald out of Vernon Hills High School. Had a serve opportunity in set number 1. Back at the line. Playable for Hendricks. Shifted a bit too far to his left. And Stevens regains the point. I mean, this is as evenly matched back and forth battle as you can have it.
Exactly, and you almost have to credit those involved with the AVCA rankings decisions on picking these two so high, because you're seeing these are two of the best programs in the country right now.
Another service error for Greg Lee.
I believe that is number 7 on the night already for the Ducks.
Greg Lee, only his 3rd service error on the season. Hayke sits coming into this evening at 8, the most for any Ducks player. Already 2 aces, his first 2 aces of the season, with 3 more service errors, and that stays in. Coach Kiekefer kind of pointed down, he knew. But again, when the Firebirds were so close to that 10-foot line, it's hard to make an adjustment.
I think the way Stevens has been swinging for most of the night, they've been aiming 10 foot for the most of the night, trying to put the ball through the floor. Great change of pace there to go back line on it.
No team has shown domination in set number 2. Set number 1 went extras, 26-24. With a 4-1 run by the Ducks. Answering back, Owen Otto. Once again, we are tied.
Another beautiful swing from Otto. I believe that's kill number 5 on the night for him already, tied with Hendricks. Once again, Owen and Owen leading the way for the Firebirds.
Over the middle and through the woods, Tyler Hoke. A power bomb. I mean, it's truly back and forth, point for point. Nolan finds the serve from Bone. Back row out, good communication by the aforementioned Bone. Yelling out, and it was Stevens, a slim lead of 2.
That's a bit of an unforced error there for the Firebirds offense, and they're making just a few too many of those. As you mentioned early in the set, a couple of these errors go their way. We're in a different position right now, both in set scores and the score in this current set.
Bone out of St. Louis. Gets the return. Left pin. Nolan, the overpass. Playable for Carthage and over the middle. What awareness by the setter, Ryan Morey, out of St. Francis High School. Birds back within 1.
We don't typically see setters get too many kills on the men's side of the ball, at least. Gene McNulty used to get a few, but we're used to seeing it more on the women's side with Devin Bell.
Head coach Kiekefer having a long chat right now with Joe Kolwitz on the sideline. Out of play, no touch. Birds have tied it up. We might have been getting close to a timeout for Carthage. They have battled back. Through the middle yet again, Tyler Hoke. And right now, whether it's Hoke or whether it's Sherman, Justin Stevens just finding that little bit of accuracy, finding that lane that they're able to take advantage, and Carthage not able to close.
Yeah, they're having their way attacking middle right now, and I think that's going to be something Coach Kiekefer probably is going to talk to us about at the end of the game, is something he wishes was better, is the block, especially on the middle, being a little more tight.
Serving now is Christensen. Left pin playable, Bone. The back set for the lefty, nice up. Can Stevens capitalize? Not able to get there. Ben Heiss, Stevens back up by 2.
It's a middle set, 2-point rallies back and forth. Some great defense there from the Ducks. And some very well-placed sets from Bone.
Set left side. Tip over the middle. In the game now for Stevens, Greg Lee. Outside the antenna, Ducks with the point. Conversation, Key Kafer in the R2. And indeed, we are going to have a timeout. 17-14. We were tied at 14, but this quick 3:01 for the Ducks. Don't want to let it get too far out of reach if you're Carthage.
Absolutely, and a great job again by the Ducks, swinging the offense opposite side very quickly. The attack came from Cholowinski on the Carthage right side. Then he tipped it back from the middle and then had to transition all the way to the outside on his end. And the middle block just, they tried to go up 2, maybe even 3 tall, not in sync, not quite covering the pin, leaving Zach Nolan wide open on a one-on-one. Couldn't quite handle it, but a great effort nonetheless from the Carthage libero to try and recover from the front line's mistake.
Indeed. We want to take a moment now to send a shout out to one of the best volleyball coaches in the history of the game, men's and women's side, John Cook, the head coach of the University of Nebraska in Lincoln, one of the winningest coaches of all time, deciding to retire this week. Meant to mention it yesterday in the broadcast, but wanted to make sure we took a moment today. Again, the impact he's had on the game, multiple national championships, a stadium game 2 seasons ago in Nebraska. It just, what he's done for the exposure of the sport, you tip your hat. And again, what he's done for the sport overall, best of luck in those future endeavors.
Absolutely, and it's an understatement to say he truly has helped boost the game up in engagement, exposure. I mean, Nebraska volleyball has been one of the most well-known programs over these last few years as the sport of volleyball has grown nationally.
Quick set over. Not in the right position where the Firebirds, and they're not there either. 4-point lead for Stevens, their biggest lead of the evening in either set.
Yeah, absolutely, and I'm starting to see maybe a little bit of fatigue from the Firebirds, maybe from already having a match this weekend. Stevens coming in on fresh legs. They just seem a little bit out of sync and a little bit a step behind right now.
Flying through, Bone able to get to it. Lee. The back set, lefty down. Is Nolan able to get there? He is. Side bump by Maury. And Bone can't get there in time. A much needed point for the Carthage College Firebirds.
You look right now, Ryan Cholowinski is gassed. He was having to move pin to pin, out to the 10-foot line, back to the net like crazy. Had his head resting on, I believe it was Hendricks there for a moment during the huddle, trying to catch his breath.
Set left side, Cholo tried to get the block, and again, they're going right at him. That is Alex Alcott. And if you are the Ducks, at strategy right now, who's heavy-handed, who's winded, go at them.
Exactly, and they can see Cholo's late to the block right now on almost every time up. Anytime he's got to move to the pin. And the problem for Carthage is you can't replace the 6'8" size with a sub. You got to roll with him here until he can get a breather.
Cholo, one of the best middle blocks, not only in the CCIW, but in the nation. Stevens have reached the red zone. 5-point lead for Stevens over Carthage. 5 points was the biggest lead in set 1, but that favored Carthage, and Stevens found their way back. Stevens now 5 away from set 2 and a crucial 2-0 lead over the Firebirds. Once again, for Justin Coorigan, I'm Peter Ferreri. Justin, talk us through right now for Stevens. They're just making the smarter plays, and not to say Carthage isn't making smart plays, but right now the Stevens offense is just spreading, using their IQ, their court intelligence, to spread thin Carthage and are finding the lanes.
Yeah, and I think the thing they've been doing well all match so far is when they are making mistakes, they're recovering in a way where they can still make an attack out of it. Carthage, when they're making mistakes, they're scrambling, they're putting free balls over, they're shanking the ball. It's just a complete difference of playing clean volleyball despite making mistakes.
And they're hitting, right now, Stevens and the Ducks, they're hitting at a 266 clip. Carthage down to 161. And again, the service errors have favored Stevens thus far, meaning that, or I should say favored Carthage, but that just hasn't been enough to keep the Firebirds in it. Can Carthage muster up the same fortitude we saw in set number 1 and rally back? They have the ability to do it, and here will be the lineup to do so. So Cholowinski will be in with Hendricks, Maury, alongside Ben Heiss, and the back row of Otto and Nolan. So this is an optimal lineup right now for Carthage. Heike over Cholowinski, huge dig by the libero. Strength, power, pain, Kobe Sherman. Wow. That was a hard hit.
Sherman is potentially the fastest swinger we have seen in this tournament. He's pulling the trigger without hesitation, and he is making the Firebirds pay for every mistake.
And Heike with another service error. Carthage needs a run. They need it now. At the service line, Owen Hendricks out of West Aurora High School. Firebirds hoping and doing everything they can to not go down 2-0. High tool, I mean, that went coast to coast. Another point for the Birds.
Much needed point to go the way the Firebirds. They have not had a whole lot of luck on those 50-50 tool balls.
The overpass. Heiss, baby. 18-21. Another point has to be the trigger for Stevens to utilize a timeout. They're actually going to use it now, and I think that's the right idea, because not only were the Firebirds getting fired up, but also the fan base for Carthage was really starting to come back to life after being down 5 a mere few moments ago. It's within 3. What a run by Carthage.
Yeah, absolutely resilient effort there on the offensive end. And you started to see some of the things that have been going really well for the Ducks were going well for Carthage on that, executing on overpasses, winning the tools, getting them out of sync on blocks. Things that have not gone the Firebirds' way finally did over those last 3 or 4 points.
Looking at some of the individual numbers for Carthage, 5 kills for Hendricks, 4 for Heiss, 6 for Otto on the flip side, 12 kills by Sherman. Not much you could do once again against one of the best in the nation. When you look at what Sherman has done all year, 42 kills, best on the team. Doubled up number 2, Ryan Schmidt at 21. Not to mention 13 blocks. So let's see. Sherman is in the rotation right now. Carthage trying to take him out of the game plan.
And if you're Stevens, you want him in the game plan as much as possible here. There he goes right there.
Pass left side, and finding the gap once again are the Firebirds. Kiefer and Carthage all smiles. A 2-point lead now for Stevens. Serving again, Owen Hendricks. and a service error. So that is a situation where the only way Carthage was initially going to come back was an error by Stevens. That's what started that rally for the Firebirds. Oh, go ahead.
Desperately needing a side out here.
Pass near side and in. Owen Otto delivers. The Birds trying to continue this momentum. A 4-1 run for the Firebirds.
Interesting, Buring still has a timeout in his pocket. Have to think of the next point or two that will get used if these go the Firebirds' way.
McDonald back row. Brought in, playable for Carthage. Left hand tip, high swipe. Bone, oh, they're calling a tip.
Coach Kiekafer not happy about the call at all.
So,
I don't know if I blame him.
All right, talk us through what he sees. It's not as much the touch. He's talking about where the feet landed, I believe, with that kill attempt.
He is pointing towards the floor more, so I'm starting to think he thinks the hitter came too far and landed under. I think the R2's kind of telling him, hey, you need to take it easy. And now he's sending Maury to the R1 to try and argue.
Yeah, it's not going to necessarily change what happened. And again, we have it's an elite staff right now.
And you can hear him from up here. He is heated right now.
So again, they're not necessarily talking about what happened with the touch, because number one, Jack McDonald, by our vantage point, did make contact. So we're not discussing that per se. What we're saying is the in versus out. Again, if this was reviewable, Coach Kiekafer having a quick conversation with Ryan Maury. Taking a big step back as Kiekafer. 3-point lead now for Stevens. A huge turn of events. What could have been 22-21, now a 3-point lead for the Ducks. They need 2 to take a vice grip on this top 10 matchup. Lee underneath it. Back to Bone. Tip called, set, 2-point. Ducks 24-20.
Not much you can do with that one. That's a great swing over the top of the block, putting it back line, even with the touch.
Lee with the service error.
Service error number 9 for the Ducks. Attempt to battle back now for the Firebirds.
Ken Heiss and the Birds find 3 more to force extras in set number 2. They cannot. A service error for Ben Heiss. Not the way that the Carthage Firebirds wanted to end. We'll take a timeout. When we come back, can the Firebirds find a set victory where no other team has before this season against the Ducks, or will the Ducks sweep their way to a day 1 victory at the Frog Jump Invitational? Don't go anywhere. When we come back, continuation of 2 of the best teams in the nation, Carthage, Stevens. Stevens up by 2 on the Firebird Broadcasting Network. And welcome into the Firebird Broadcasting Network. For my broadcast colleague, Justin Coorigan, I'm Peter Ferreri. Set 1 needed extras. Set 2, fairly convincing ending, and the Ducks have a 2-0 lead in sets over the Firebirds, but a service error. A gimme point for Carthage to start set 3.
And now the Firebirds just need to utilize that. They have not utilized the Ducks' mistakes enough tonight, whereas the Ducks have taken very good care of the ball when they make mistakes.
Back set for Sherman. That stays in play. Once again, Alex Alcott. The net presence for Stevens, please expound on it, Justin, because I do not want to ever slight their ability right now at the net. Offensively, defensively, the spacing, it's just second to none.
Exactly, and I think you're seeing a little bit more of the experience of the Ducks and their seniors, graduate students, take over here a bit. They know where to block, they know where to swing. They're spacing it beautifully, and they get another tool kill there.
Just like that, what was an error for the gimme point. It just shows that if things are firing well offensively, you can, for all intents and purposes, afford to have some aggressiveness at the service line, because they're compensating for those service errors, but are able to do so very cleanly. Free ball, and again, that libero switch, having Knuckles in the game, has proven dividends for the Ducks.
Never want to see that.
Yeah, Bone is actually holding his face right now. He got swiped by Knuckles.
He took the elbow of Knuckles right to the eye. Just their collision back and forth.
Yeah.
Kind of got the defense out of sync in transition. The R2 just making sure, hey, he took a hit to the head, let's check him out. Again, don't have to sub him out. But at least acknowledge, hey, make sure he's all right, make sure he knows which day of the week it is. Correct answer as an athlete is it's game day.
Oh. Missed time, but Lee hits the ground and able to get it over. From the Bic, Bone finds it back row. Again, Bone and Knuckles, 2 subs in set 2. Really helping the Ducks through that lead. Running away, Otto. Side bump, Maury. Heike. Back row. No tip. Out of play. Point for Carthage. Ducks thought they had a touch. Officials agreed, no touch, 3-2 Birds.
I think that's the right call there. It was close, but I didn't see enough rotation change on the ball.
Out of play it goes.
I don't know about you, but I'd personally, when it comes to service errors, I'd much rather see it miss the back line by a hair than it go into the net.
Tied at 3. Side swipe. Locked back into play. Knuckles far side. Sherman again. If I'm Stevens, I don't even care at this point how many blockers Carthage has. I'm just going for Sherman until there's an adjustment made. And again, that's easier said than done.
Absolutely. There's, especially if you can find him in transition like that where Ryan Sholowinski is having to move to the pin to find him. That is when Stevens is striking best with Sherman.
Back set for Heiss. Hits the rafters again, but that falls down in short order. And this is exactly what we saw in set 2. Back and forth, all the way to the 14 mark. And then Stevens just pulled away.
Absolutely, and I think the problem for the Firebirds in the last 2 sets is they're making just a few too many mistakes to be able to run with a team as good as Stevens for the full 25 points in order to win a set. Nice up there.
Hendricks back row. Nice pass, and Lee mistimed it. I'm not quite sure if that was supposed to go to Lee or if that was supposed to go to Schmid. Nobody got it or marked that. Olcott. Carthage up by 1.
Yeah, I think it was intended for Olcott altogether, but I don't know if they were on the same page on what type of ball he was supposed to get there. I think he wanted a quick one off the hands of the setter and instead got a high one.
And Bone keeps it in. One of the best hits for him this evening. Tied up again at 5.
Surprised the Carthage bench didn't quite disagree with that as much as I thought they were. It looked out to me, it looked out to a couple fans on our side of the arena. Must have been in from the closer vantage point.
Answering back is Hendricks. What is, I know it's probably a tough hypothetical. What does Carthage have to do to maybe get a little run? It's not going to start there with a service error. Is it passing differently? Is it feeding a different player? I don't necessarily know if there's an answer to this.
I don't either, and I think it comes down to the one thing that I'm noticing sticking out like a sore thumb, and we've talked about Stevens is taking advantage of, is securing the block up front. I think Stevens has found a way to kind of poke holes in the Firebirds defense. So securing the block, making the smart defensive play, the offensive plays will come.
The back set lefty over the top. And Stevens could get the point. Thought there might have been a touch. That's something we saw in Stevens in set 1. It just went so high that you thought maybe it got touched. No, that just was sailing off in the distance. 7-6, Ducks over the Birds.
Otto was a little bit too far in front of that one when he hit it.
And the gimme right back.
So one thing that has been going the Firebirds' way is the amount of service errors, again, they've been seeing on the opponent's side of the net. That's really what's kept Carthage in this match, every set, with 11 service errors for Stevens.
Over the middle. The back set, right hand down and in. Stevens with another one.
I believe that was Bone on the kill. Setter getting in on the action.
Yeah, Bone, he's fun to watch. He's kind of like that. He's got that vibe as a junior of that grizzled veteran. It looks like he's going to go chop down a tree after this and live in the woods. But nonetheless, he's not afraid to get in the action offensively as well. Tool block, bust out the snow shovel. Hopefully it doesn't snow again. Although the rain wasn't fun the past 24 hours. I know.
Nice to get a little rain here. I didn't have to pay for a car wash, got all the salt off my car.
That is true. I didn't mind a little rain. I minded the downpour last night on the drive home. That was a complete stoppage on the highway and resulted in no power in my house until about 6 in the morning, so enjoyable. Nice up again by Stevens. Punch back, court awareness. Now those are the points that the Ducks usually get, Justin. Carthage finds a way to get it this time.
Yeah, it's a rare communication mistake. We haven't seen all that much, a couple points here and there, but that was one where it was an unforced mental error on the Ducks. Beautiful serve there.
That stays in. So I appreciate this lineup now for Carthage. Oh, okay, we're going to have a sub. Maury comes back in for Kolwitz. And I think just the height of Maury is giving him more reps this evening against the length of Stevens.
Yeah, and I I think you saw a couple mental errors with Coorigan. I think you saw Coach Kiekever talking with him. We pointed out in set 2. I think right now Maury's making the better decisions, and you got to roll with that in a game this tight.
Off the double. Left hand. The fireball from Ben Heiss.
Once again, a quiet night from Heiss so far. A quiet 6 kills, but that one was loud and clear.
Set from the 10-foot line. Playable near pin, triple block, nice up Hendricks. Maury, back set, back to Hendricks, looks back row, once again Bone underneath it. Out of play, no touch. Carthage with their biggest lead since set number 2.
Stevens bench not happy with that call. They thought they caught the back corner there. It was close, but I think that was the right call.
The high back set, play over left hand. Cool as ice. Ben Heiss, 3-point lead for the Firebirds. I'm honestly surprised right now that head coach Buehring out of Cal Baptist 2008, his 5th season at the helm, is not taking a timeout and an ace. Carthage.
That might be enough to do it. He's making the walk towards the yard too. He'll just stop at the end of the bench.
They're going to have those subs come in first. Again, that's what you do. You take advantage when Sherman is out of rotation on the bench. He's back in now, firing up the squad. Carthage up by 4.
Yeah. You get your best hitter in. Don't burn the timeout. See if you can just get the side out, but not there.
No touch. Alex Alcott sends it too close to the net, too much on the line. 5-point lead for the Firebirds, and there indeed is the timeout by head coach Buehring and staff Mike Burkhart, Will Foley, Dan Perrin out of the Middle Atlantic Conference. And what a run for Carthage.
Absolutely, and for the first time since early in set 1, you're seeing those overpasses go the way of the Firebirds. Those off the block, recoverable mental mistakes being made by the Ducks. Something we did not see through pretty much all of set 2 and early into set 3.
And there is a large cardboard cutout in the stands of one Jack McDonald out of Vernon. Is it a birthday or something, Justin? I feel we should know these things.
I feel we should. Let me see if I can work my magic.
I was going to say we can also message Senior Sports Information Director Sam. We'll just say Sam. We don't want people looking up this guy, and the next thing you know, why don't I know these things? I think that's a cool cardboard cutout, to say the least.
I think that's actually what we were seeing. Just
It might have been. It might have been.
Disappeared.
Well, when I came up from our little, short break between sets 2 and 3, I kind of went to look at it, but there was somebody in the stands that said, nope. I'm like, okay, hey, I just work here. But nonetheless, life rejuvenated. Right now for the Firebirds, up by 5, timeout called by Stevens. Bone with the return. Sherman, but playable for Maury. Long bank bump. In play. Still playable for the Birds. Sherman wants it back. They go over the middle for Lee. Maury. Missed time, but it doesn't matter. Hudson Schweitzer delivers the biggest lead for the Firebirds by 6 in any set this Friday evening. Serving now, yet again, Owen Auto. Almost comes away with the ace. High set, near side, Nolan. Oh, that just ricocheted with fervor off the rafters. from the 10-foot line. Roll over the top. Punch over, left hand uppercut. Nolan able to track it down. Hendricks makes Bone go for the dive. Sherman splits the uprights, and Stevens back to within 4.
Great bounce back for Stevens there, going down 6. Quick 2 points, swinging it back within reach.
(15-11). Carthage trying to close out and send it to 4. Looking for the line. Joust. But it went over. Okay, so just to clarify, because Stevens and that initial touch went over, or I should say, excuse me, past the net after the touch of the rafters, automatic point for Carthage.
We could thank head coach Leanne Ulmer of the Carthage women's team
Yes.
for clarifying that for us earlier in the season.
Oh! Sherman with the Sherman bomb. It is a sight and sound to behold. (16-12). Triple block. Back row. Double touch called on Alex Olcott.
Another point the Firebirds have needed all night long to go their way, and it does there, extending the lead back to 5.
Carthage absolutely content with back and forth being up by 5. Now, we saw this same situation early in set 1. Let's see what they're able to do here. Nolan finds it off the left forearm. Up ahead to Emmerich. Pushes through Lee's block attempt. Sherman again, but Nolan ricochets. Would have went out of play. They went for it anyway. Sherman hits the tape. I did not believe there was contact by a bird. Playable again out of the back row. What a rally for both teams. Nolan, what can they find? Emmerich leans in. Point, Carthage. 18-12.
Absolute resilience from that Carthage team there. I don't believe that hit a Firebird's hand on the tape. Coach Kiekefer immediately yelling, play on, play on, play on. And now forced to timeout. Kiekefer fired up. Assistant Jacob Bush fired up. And this Tarble crowd's coming to life.
18-12. Stevens, Institute of Technology, leads 2-0. But the Firebirds, 7 points away from handing Stevens their first loss in any set this season, and that's how you start a reverse sweep, 1 set at a time. And the defense for Carthage has truly been given the life support shock, and they are right back in it. They are everywhere that Stevens was in the prior set. They're answering back and answering the call.
Absolutely. I don't know what kind of shot of adrenaline they got during the break between 2 and 3, but this defense has come to life here in set number 3. And even if, okay, maybe the reverse sweep isn't in the cards, obviously Carthage fans are hoping it's in the cards, but if you can at least take a set, be the first team of the year to take a set for Stevens, that has to feel good on a sense of we can run with a top team in the country, a top 3 team in the country, a team that is posed to make a deep postseason run, and we can run with them. But obviously, you don't want to just settle at one set. You want all 3 of these next ones.
1 point at a time to get 1 set at a time. Huge momentum, a lot of fans starting to rise to their feet on the near sideline.
Devin O'Callahan in serving.
Nice pickup in the back row by the aforementioned O'Callahan. Out of play. Sherman couldn't find the bucket. 7-point lead for Carthage.
Serve goes over, good float. Excellent, up by O'Callahan. Swing back at O'Callahan, not enough.
Carthage more than content for going 1 for 1 right now.
Absolutely.
Stevens finds themselves in the biggest deficit. They've been in all week so far, I guess you could say all night, having another service error. Now, as we stated in prior sets, that didn't affect them as much because they were hitting at such a high percentage on the offensive side. Let it be known, Carthage is now up to a 240 hit percentage, their highest of the evening.
And on the set, Carthage hitting 333, Stevens just 188, a complete swing from what we saw in the first two sets.
That stays in. They keep feeding Sherman. But think about that 1 point, that rally that went so long that Carthage came away with it. They weathered the Sherman storm. They didn't try to block him at the net. They were able to get enough returns.
And Sherman, he swings hard, but he's more lethal if he can get you off the tool. If he can find a way to get past the block and get you out of position, just out of bounds.
All right, lead still sits at 5. I'm going to play the scenarios. If you're Carthage, how close do you let it get potentially before a timeout?
You've got, both timeouts remaining? I think you burn one if they get this point here. I don't think you get it. Let it get more than 4 when you have 2 to go.
Sherman power serves it into the net.
Again, another example of live by the serve, die by the serve.
Yes.
Now 13 service errors. Correction, 12 service errors for the Ducks.
Donald comes in. Bone keeps it down. Give a dog a bone, 21-16, Stevens. Trying so desperately to get the sweep. Easier said than done.
Philip Bone has to be one of the most versatile players we've seen on this court this weekend so far. He has done it all. Assists, digs, almost an ace there.
Bone has to dive. Nolan underneath it. Oh, what a play from his knees, Hendricks. The tip over. High set, near pin, triple block, punched up, playable, Maury, far side, Otto!
Out of bounds, off the side.
That was close. The far line judge set in.
Left line judge set out. He's got jurisdiction on it. Great call there. I think it's the right call. Tough break for the Firebirds. That was a really nice setup play. And Bone almost got the ace on that one. Great defensive effort in serve receive. Puts that one into the net. As my old coach used to say, that wouldn't have made it over a tennis net.
3 out of the past 5 points for the Firebirds have come way of the service error for the visiting Ducks.
And something we've seen a couple times tonight now. Coach Kiekefer deciding to go with a sub at the center position, putting Kolwitz into serve, taking out Ryan Morey. So going with the strategic serving matter over setting. We'll see if Kolwitz can come in and close out these last 3 points.
Out of play it goes.
Service error number 8 for the Firebirds. And right back in comes Ryan Morey. Tyler Christensen in.
I was just going to say, this is such a crucial ending to the set. Some may have thought the Firebirds were left for dead after set 2. Not the case. Playing at their high level of play, Owen auto kills and allowing your opponent to make mistakes.
And this is where Stevens got in a bit of trouble early, having to burn 2 timeouts so early in the set to stay in it. Now Carthage can go point for point, as we've mentioned, without needing a momentum change.
Otto hits the tape, playable. Oh, near pin, down and in. Recently subbed in is Wyrick. Also Brandon Rogers seeing some playing time. The 6'4" senior out of Syracuse, New York.
Something to keep in mind right now, veterans on the bench, out of rotation. Cholowinski and McDonald.
This is the strength of Carthage. They are at set 3 point. A mere 1 point from handing Stevens their first set loss of the season. This is the resiliency those national viewers are seeing when it comes to this Firebird squad. Stays in. Stevens saying, we're not out of it yet.
That's a great swing from Brandon Rogers. Last couple plays that have gone the way of the Ducks, they're using that outside hitter, forcing it cross court just past the 10-foot line, and they're finding payday every time.
Oh, and a mishandle. We may see a Kike for timeout. I don't believe it's going to happen there. And it is. Okay, so Kiefer looked at his players, looked back. You can't be up 24-19 needing 1 point. Again, I don't want to say, we never want to claim speaking too soon. But if you're the Firebirds and you see this resiliency they showed coming back, not only coming back in the back and forth battle, but then taking a commanding lead, keeping that lead. 3 points is something that either of these teams can do in the slightest of runs. Stevens already 2 points in. And Carthage, I think that miscommunication on that serve receive is enough for head coach Kiefer to say, okay, let's take a timeout. Let's talk about it. Assistant coach Jake Bush and Dave Marcus, let's all have a chat about it, and let's get this last point.
Yeah, and I think it comes down to as well, you got 2 timeouts. You can't take them with you into set 4, especially if there isn't a set 4 to go into. You can't take it in either way. But you might as well use it, let them catch the breath, refocus, take a look at what's been working, what hasn't, figure out how can we cover that seam on the cross shot that they're using lately. And we'll see here, set point. Number 3, Stevens on the brink of dropping their first set, 17-0 on the season in sets. It's gonna be Wyrick.
The back set, lefty trying to deliver. Knuckles in the game, that stays in. Oh boy. Oh boy.
Again, it's that outside hitter they've switched to. All of a sudden, they're finding ways to find the gaps in the Carthage defense from attacking on the outside.
Brought back in lefty, down and Cholowinski. They're saying the point is going to Carthage, but they're conversing about it now.
I think that's the right call. Ball came over. Reactionary hit, I believe it was Maury who got a hand on it at the net. Cholowinski able to just push it ever so slightly into the block, forcing a tool in one of the most obscure ways possible, but hey, a point's a point, a win's a win.
That it is. We are going to go to set number 4. Firebirds breathing new life. Let's see what happens momentarily. For Justin, I'm Pete on the Firebird Broadcasting Network. We're back, fourth set. Firebirds handing Stevens their first set loss of the season, and Lee sends it far.
It's the start Carthage needed here. Did not want to give up the serve after just 1 point. Don't let Stevens get momentum right off the bat.
Set to the left side. Another point for Carthage.
It's going to be interesting to see for Stevens, having not dropped a set all year, how do they respond to it? They have not had to play a set following a loss.
High back set. Sherman blocked but tooled out of play. It comes at such a high velocity, you close your eyes, you put up your hands, and you hope for the best.
And again, we mentioned it last set, Sherman works best off the tool, whether he tools it out of bounds or he gets you out of position. That seems to be when he is at his most lethal.
Set near pin, blocked down. That stays in. I believe it might have gone out, but nonetheless it touched Otto on the foot. Tied at 2. Rolled over the tape, but playable for Hendricks. Set near pin, Otto again! And Bone runs into Knuckles.
Second time those two have miscommunicated and run into each other. Thankfully, no one hurt this time. Saw Bone take an elbow to the face.
Sounds like, you know, the old XFL where you pick your nicknames. Bone hits Knuckles. Knuckles also a character in Sonic.
I was thinking that too. Also the nickname for, I believe it's David Montgomery of the Detroit Lions.
Correct, yeah, Sonic and Knuckles, right? Or is it Sonic and Tails? I would assume Knuckles.
I think he's Knuckles and Jameer Gibbs is Sonic in
Yeah.
that scenario.
Yeah, he's fast.
If I'm not mistaken. I'm not a Lions fan, so I can't comment, but.
Coiling back like a viper, Hudson Schweitzer strikes.
A good read there from the setter, Maury, realizing that the block was reading for that quick strike that we've seen from Schweitzer and Cholowinski all weekend. Puts it up high, lets Schweitzer go get instead.
Set near side. Stevens couldn't win the joust. Kind of caught contact with the thumbs on his way back down. Carthage takes advantage.
And right off the bat, Buring sending his captain to argue the call. I think he's saying on that, I believe of Schweitzer, he went up for the tip, it went into the tape. He was saying it's a double touch because of that. Officials are saying it was off a block attempt, a one-handed block attempt, so therefore Schweitzer gets the second contact. And the officials are sticking with their call.
My opinion is this, because these calls aren't reversible, or excuse me, reviewable, it would take a lot to reverse things in this circumstance.
You have to
Oh my goodness, what a punch! Oh my goodness, what a rally! I can't believe what I just saw laying on the ground. Owen Hendricks flicked the right wrist in the air with no regard for human life, and Carthage comes away with a point.
That is pure athleticism, pure instinct, and pure luck to make that play work. Unbelievable. Firebirds out to a 3-point lead.
Left hand down. Bone over the middle and keeps it in. If Carthage would have came away with that point, Stevens would have 100% needed a timeout.
And while Sherman is kind of cooled off a bit, they figure out how to play him. Bone has taken over and kind of become the lethal force for the Ducks.
Back pass. Back pass again. Roll over. Sherman. 3 blocks, doesn't matter. Powers through.
That's a tough play for Maury. So reactionary. It would have been nice to have gotten both hands up there. It might have gone straight up rather than shanking back, but there's so little time to react on that. Not much you can do. Ducks back within 1. Swing by Schweitzer, back over.
Tip over the top.
R2 calling a touch.
Carthage fans getting loud.
All of a sudden this set, it's Buring's turn to be talking to the official almost every point.
Yikes.
2 sets ago, it was Coach Kiekefer. Serve from Otto. Swing middle, up. Beautiful save by Otto. Heist, swing. What a play. Hudson Schweitzer. Firebirds bench is #fired up.
Otto back row for the serve. Playable by Sherman. Stevens backed within 2. And the bench looks like they're doing a single leg sweep for the Ducks.
They've had some interesting stuff throughout the night tonight over on that bench. A little bit of a hot potato, keep the ball in the air earlier. Some swimming tadpoles in set 1.
Stevens couldn't come away with it again. Again, some of these self-inflicted wounds.
Say the later we get into this match, the more you're seeing the Ducks kick themselves around a bit. They used to, in the early sets, they were being as clean as possible.
And some may say, rare service error for Carthage. That is their 9th on the evening, but they haven't had one in a while. Bone sails that to the far side. So slim lead for the Firebirds, but they are more than content with going back and forth. And again, you don't want any moral victories with saying, okay, well, they took 1 set at least. If they can force this to 5, anybody's game.
Absolutely, and that sprint to 15 in set 5. And now the 3rd straight service error between the 2 teams. But that sprint to 15 in set 5 goes so fast, it can swing so quickly. And we saw that when the Firebirds played against the Banana Slugs of UC Santa Cruz. Out in Santa Cruz, they were down 8-6. They flipped sides and went on, I believe, it was a 9-3 run to take the set.
Christensen, one of the serve specialists. Quiet of late. Cholowinski finds the strength over the middle. And Cholowinski on the evening, that's his 4th kill. So a quiet night offensively, but he'll take it nonetheless.
One thing the Firebirds have done really well tonight is limit the amount of times Christensen's at the line. They're subbing him in.
Sherman, again, you're not going to block it, but he sent that awry, and that's what you can hope and pray for, is just inaccurate kill attempts, and that was it.
Hendricks now trying to get a rally going.
And another service error for Hendricks, an uncharacteristic past few attempts at the service line for the Firebirds. I'm not saying they've played conservatively, but again, the accuracy has been so good the first 3 sets.
You have to wonder if it's a little bit of pressing. You're up on number 3. You need this set to stay alive.
Knuckles sends that one into the rafters. Bone couldn't find it. Lead back to 4.
Bone, he's looking for it up in the rafters. He kind of trips over his own feet a bit, and he looks down to catch his footing. By the time he looks up, he can't find the ball again. Lands about 6 inches from him. Assume that's about the equivalent of losing a fly ball in the lights.
McDonald gets it to Bone. Over the middle. In the contest is Hunter Schmidt. Carthage on a roll. Lead of 5. Ducks, I don't want to use the term sulking, but they're trying to find themselves here now.
Now the question becomes, too, the Ducks burned both timeouts real quickly, and they paid the price last set. How long do they wait this time around?
Sherman sends that one off the right shoulder of McDonald. It hits the speaker, which is just swinging. I already have a fear of heights, but that is it's unnerving for me, and it's about 100 feet away.
Yeah, I'd be a little terrified to be sitting under that right now. That's just me. I've seen too many of those spooky movies where things happen like that. I'd move.
And you just see how much force that has, that you have a suspended speaker from the ceiling. Say that 10 times fast.
No thanks.
And a ricochet off of a kill attempt. Oh, keeping it alive on the back bump. Can the Ducks take advantage? Sherman out of play. Carthage gets the point. I think it's the right idea now. If you're fighting, okay, it's a fight. But if you're going against Sherman, just let him hit it hard.
Absolutely.
It's favored you in the past few circumstances.
He's trying too hard to tool off the block and break through the block, that if there's no block there, it's going to go sailing a country mile.
5-point lead for Carthage.
Sherman, an impressive 21 kills tonight.
Ducking out of the way again. 16-10. Shades of Rocky 3, where Balboa just keeps telling Clubber Lang, hit me, hit me, hit me, and then answers back.
Ironically enough, their number 3, that was Rocky 3.
There you go. Sherman goes for finesse this time. Playable for the Birds. Near pin, left hand over. Bone tries to go through the double block, but he meets the wall of Hudson Schweitzer, who says, stop it. 17-10, the magic number in college volleyball. Many a coaches have said, as a timeout is called for the Ducks, many a coaches have told me, Justin, this is a crucial point of any match, because if the team at 10 is able to get 1 point, you still are within striking distance. But if it bumps to 18-10, statistically speaking, you have a very, very, very low percentage to come back. So what a time right now for the Ducks to take what could be a last-ditch effort preventing 5.
Absolutely, and I think, again, they did a smarter job of waiting. Obviously, you don't want to be down 7, but not burning timeouts early. They ran into it last time, struggling late because they couldn't call timeout. They couldn't stop the Firebirds' momentum. This might be the right time to hit the reset button, regroup, kind of let Sherman, let Bone get some fluids in them, let them get rehydrated, catch their breath, catch their composure, and try and build their way back. And for the Firebirds, not sure what Coach Kiekever's talking to the officials about now that I look over there, but he's got about 10 seconds to say something to his bench.
Also have the women's basketball team in attendance here. Always good to see teams support other teams.
Exactly. Birds support birds, as
Yeah.
the t-shirts read around campus.
Grace Cord, one of the best fives in the CCIW.
Looking for a good bounce-back win over the Vikings tomorrow in Chicago. Spoke with Coach Jones earlier today. She said they had a really good practice yesterday, maybe a little more intense than they're used to after the Carroll loss, but they're looking to bounce back over a stumbling North Park team.
I give you credit for talking to her today.
I had to. It was my job. I would have steered clear until we got another win. But she was in good spirits.
Almost
Looking
an over.
forward to a win.
Flick of the wrist. Smooth operating Owen Otto. 18-10, and now the pressure is on the Ducks.
And even more so because you do not want to go to 5 with this crowd. Many have tried, few have succeeded.
Stevens gets one back. You go back to, not to recall things that maybe didn't go in Carthage's favor, you go back to set 1 and how they were so close to winning set 1. Stevens found and flipped that switch. Do they have it one more time in set 4? Not going to happen there. That stays in. The number 3 ranked team on the ropes as their opponent, the Firebirds of Carthage, are 6 away from forcing a 5th set. Brought back in, a missed time, and things are starting to unravel a bit for the Ducks, down 9. At this point, go ahead.
Timeout is coming. It looks like he's seen enough. Coach Buring with one last-ditch effort to rally the troops.
What I was going to say is, at this point, you're down 9. Do you throw in some subs to finish out this set just so you are as fresh as possible going into 5? I mean, it's 9 points. I'm just asking the question.
You know, I'm gonna say no. I like where you're coming from with it. I like the idea. But this is a 5, with the set only going to 15 if we go to 5. This Carthage team is too good of an opponent. If they are facing a weaker opponent, someone who's not nationally ranked, I'd say yes. It's a long weekend. You got 2 matches left still to play. But right now, I think you got to keep working your Shermans, your Bones, trying to work your way through this Carthage defense and build your way back. I also think it's just, especially this early in the season, not the best mindset to get you guys into, hey, we're just going to give this set up and force a 5 and battle our way. Just got waved to by head coach of the football team.
I mean, I feel honored when Coach Pop gives a wave. Really excited for what he's working on this offseason with the men's football program. Big things ahead.
We may actually have him on the broadcast for a set tomorrow during the neutral games.
Coach Pop?
Coach Pop.
Wow, how about it?
Ran into him the other day. He said he'd be willing to come on, so we might be able to get him in between talking to recruits. Coach Keykafer potentially joining for the morning game.
Knuckles, near side for Sherman, the block, and it goes out of play. So that's what he's been aiming for and being successful with all evening. And not to say reverse strategy, but let's say Coach Keith Kafer said, okay, and now for the rest of this 4th set, if Sherman goes for it, go up for the block again. So maybe you get it in his head that you don't know what's going to be coming when you get to set number 5. I could be completely wrong, but again, you never know.
Yeah, I like it again. I don't know if you want to outthink yourself on that. And that's the Achilles heel of having smart coaches, is that one goes into the net.
Nick Schmidt out of Scotch Plains, New Jersey. Couldn't find it, and the Firebirds need 4.
But you see it all the time with smart coaches that like to outthink their opponent on the other side.
Yeah.
They tend to outthink themselves at the wrong moment, and it costs them. And I think Coach Keykafer wants to avoid that right here. Just do what's been working. If it stops working, then adjust.
Austin Mallory was in for that serve. as he will sub out now.
Another situation where you're perfectly fine going point for point the rest of the way.
(21-13). Serving now is Bone.
Bone sent it over to Christensen to inspect the ball as they were letting subs come in. Christensen approved. Back to Bone.
The back set. Left hand uppercut. Rolls off the thumbs. Carthage needs 3. Set 1, 26-24, went the way of Stevens. Set 2, a convincing victory for Stevens. Carthage showing their resolve and resiliency in set 3, 25-22, and we are at 22-13 for the number 3 ranked team in the nation. Firing back is Alex Olcott.
Olcott now third on the squad in kills with 8 tonight, just behind Sherman at 22 and Bone at 9.
Olcott with a .344 kill percentage. Coming into this evening, one of the most efficient hitters in the nation. Christensen. Power serves it out of play. Watching that sail away was Owen Hendricks. Back up by 9 as Hendricks is back to serve. And think about this, the cut Hendricks had on his wrist in set 1 forced the tape and really hasn't caused him one way or another to have any deficiencies in his kill hand. That one falls.
Olcott starting to come alive here in set 4 late. He started out hot early in this match. We were calling his name a lot. He kind of moved over to the wayside, let Sherman and Bone take over. And that's the one thing that they have done nicely is they've kind of switched off who does the scoring, who does the main attacking. It's Sherman, it's Bone, it's Olcott, but they're going in spurts and not letting Carthage get too comfortable defending one over the others.
Missed time at the net, uppercut, Sherman, back row, Bone can't get there. Carthage one away from sending it to a 5th and final set.
And if you're the Firebirds, you want the point right now. Win this set by 10. Get this place fired up and take every ounce of momentum in this building into set 5.
Sherman still alive. Breaking through to the other side. Carthage sends it to 5, 25-15. Don't go anywhere. We got a barn burner in Kenosha on the Firebird Broadcasting Network. Fifth set. First to 15 have to win by 2. Carthage was on the brink, battled back, trying to reverse sweep the number 3 ranked team in the nation after sweeping number 5 Juniata 24 hours ago. I'm Peter Ferreri alongside Justin Coorigan. We're underway in set number 5 on the Firebird Broadcasting Network, and Carthage comes out swinging. Owen Otto.
Owen Otto, 16th kill of the night, leading the Firebirds, just second in the game behind Sherman, but he has come alive here in the back half. Not to mention a great side out on the opening point. Stevens starting with the serve.
McDonald with the service error. You feel that we spoke yesterday how those two teams, Juniata and Carthage, lived by the serve and dive by the serve. Stevens having their fair service errors, sending that one far. What communication in the back row, getting the point right back.
18 service errors now for the Ducks, 12 for the Firebirds. And if this goes away at Carthage, that's 3 straight matches in this tournament that go by the way of who makes less errors at the service line. We'll see if that plays true still with this one.
Kolwitz. Nice feed over the middle to Tyler Hoke. That's a 1-2 punch. If you look at Hoke and Sherman both in at the same time. Not going to outmatch the height, but can their accuracy be fine-tuned? Want to remind everybody, stick around for the post-game show. Head coach J.W. Kiefer will be joining us, win or loss. My goodness, how magical would it be if win 101 of his career is a reverse sweep against the number 3 ranked team in the nation. Two out of the 3 points for Stevens are by way of the service error for the Firebirds. Christensen to serve. Two service errors for Christensen, no aces thus far. Make that 3 service errors. We stated the serve's going to be a huge thing, and right now both teams trying to will their way to a huge victory by way of the power serve.
And talk about this match being neck and neck. The all-time series as another one goes into the net. But the all-time series between these two teams right now, Carthage has 7-6.
3 out of the 4 points for the Ducks are service errors from Carthage. 2 out of the 4 points for Carthage are service errors for the Ducks. Rolls off the tape, Nolan. The back set. Left hand down and too far. Carthage thought they got a tip, didn't happen.
Good idea to go back line there, just a little too much on it.
Ducks, Schmidt with the serve. Nolan finds it. Morey, Hendricks pulls that too far. 2-point lead for the Ducks.
Need a side out here, otherwise I think a timeout might get burned by J.W. Kiefer.
Set from the Bick. Nice pickup in the back row. falling away. Trying to reset up the attack. Too far again for Ben Heiss. The past 3 points for the Ducks have been sailing kill attempts by the Firebirds. In addition to that, 3 additional points are by way of the service error. This is not the script that Carthage thought they'd have in set number 5.
Absolutely not. We're seeing the first 2 sets kind of rear their ugly head again. Mistakes that don't need to be made. Serving mistakes, swinging mistakes, defensive mistakes. Got to be able to figure out how to re-rally into this against a team that does not give up points easily.
Carthage was leading 4-3 earlier in this set. Then a service error and 3 attack errors in a row have now given the Ducks that halfway mark to victory. They will switch sides at that 8-point mark, but I think it's the right call by Coach Kiekefer. You gotta stop it now. You got to be able to try to get a point and get a little bit closer before you switch at 8.
Absolutely, and even if you can force a side out here, even if you lose it right when you go down into the switch down 3, I'd take that over going down 4 any day in a race to 15.
Serving yet again, Nick Schmidt. Having himself a nice little run, not doing anything overzealous. Over the middle, and that stays in. Cholowinski, nice timeout, nice point for the Birds.
And that was just enough in. Great effort by Cholowinski there, getting a good swing on it, keeping it inside the line. Let's see if they can utilize it now with O'Callahan at the line.
Devin O'Callahan, the freshman out of Maple Grove. Right now, Carthage just looking for clean serves, and Cholowinski, how about a clean block? You shall not pass. And O'Callahan back to serve for the chance to tie for the Carthage Firebirds.
Unbelievable block there from Cholo, the leader of this team, stepping up when they need him most.
The back set for Bone, the lift, the joust. Not able to get there in the back row was Otto. And there was a point, these past 2 points for the Firebirds, where the Ducks really were not in a rotation they liked. They did not have Sherman in, and they did not have Hoke. But the resiliency to get to the back row proved itself worthy as the Ducks back up by 2. They are 7 away from weathering the storm. Carthage, though, do they have the wherewithal to come back in set 5?
And I think even if the Firebirds don't pull this out, this is not going to go down as a bad loss for them now. After set 2, if it kept going that way, yeah, that's a bad loss. You're now swept by number 3 and number 4 this season. Not a great look, especially getting swept at home, but they have really battled back and showed they are a national contender this year.
Left side, Hendricks, self-preservation by Bone. High back set, directional set, Nolan. Hendricks again off the tip. The side swipe by Knuckles. The rollover. Can Carthage take advantage? Cholo over the middle. Once again, Bone out of the back row. Off the triple block. Left side, Hendricks tries to power through. Joust again. The free ball. The kill attempt. Bone out of the back row. What can Carthage do? From the Bick. Huge dive in. What a rally. The block.
Cholowinski has this place bouncing right now, and the veteran leader of this team has come alive in set 5. This is a guy we were seeing literally leaning on his teammate in a huddle because they were exhausting him in set 2. He has found a resurgence and has brought this Firebirds team back within 1.
Hendricks serves. Almost an ace. Can Carthage take advantage? Otto back row, Bone finds it. Set near side, that stays in. The quick strike ability of Alex Alcott. The 6'3" sophomore just coils and delivers.
These two teams have battled so hard in this game. Every point has mattered from the word go.
Lee hits the tape and gets the tape ace. Oh my goodness.
For the first time all night, that type of serve has gone the way of the Ducks. With 19 service errors, just their 4th ace.
And there's nothing you can do. You cannot battle the tape ace. Ducks need 5. Sailing it too far, point goes back. Can the Firebirds take advantage?
That was almost back-to-back brilliant serves for the Ducks that might have shut the door on the Firebirds this late. Game of inches right there.
Jack McDonald. Key contributor from the service line. Just kisses off the tape.
Opportunity here.
Otto. The block hits the pin. Carthage within 1. Can they find the tie? That indeed is the question. They were down 10-7. The error, the pin, the timeout. It's anybody's game, Justin. It's absolutely anybody's game.
Absolutely, and this is what we wanted out of a tournament like this. When you see a lineup where you got 4 teams in the top 12 in the country, you want back and forth games. We've seen kind of back and forth. Juniata and Carthage last night was a good match, but it ended in a sweep. We had not seen anything like this. And not to get too far ahead of ourselves, but if this is ending up being a rematch in the postseason, it's going to be some fun volleyball late in the year.
Just a reminder once again, Coach Key Kafer will join us for the post-game show. My goodness, so much to talk about. No matter the outcome, the resiliency of this Carthage College Firebird squad to battle back for even the opportunity for the reverse sweep shows you he has this young team ready to go.
You look at the score lines, 26-24, 25-21. Then the script flips, 25-22 and a dominant 25-15. Score bug there a little behind. It's now 10-9. Stevens leads. Also shown a great replay of that final play. Again, our production crew has been phenomenal all weekend so far.
McDonald, can he deliver another stellar serve? 2 points in a row. Bone. Set near side, block closes, punched up, joust opportunity. Trying to set up on the far side. Nice point by Rogers. Hasn't been in the game much.
Rogers did a great job there. Instead of going for the swing, he went for the push into the block and he forced it down. Some smart volleyball there from the senior out of Syracuse.
Lead back to 2. Heike. Nice up by Knuckles. The back set. Sherman with the howitzer kill. There's the timeout by Keykafer. It's a 2-point run for Stevens. But now that they have the rotation in, and you have one of the best hitters in the nation right in a prime location, boy, oh boy, Carthage on the ropes. Key Kafer talking to the coaching staff first, trying to figure out what to do again. How do they come back and have such a convincing victory in set 4, they being the Firebirds, is they allowed Sherman to just fire at will, and a lot of them were a bit on the inaccurate side. That one, he just got Nolan in the left clavicle, and you can't get out of the way.
No, and the way he hits the ball, he hits it so hard, I don't even know if Zach Nolan realized the ball was hit when it hit him. That was a rocket right at number 4 for the Firebirds.
Both these teams will be back in action tomorrow. But again, a resilient effort for the Firebirds. You don't want to necessarily say moral victories, but again, a lot of game left to be played. Both timeouts now used by Kiekefer. When Stevens hit the 7th point, they rolled off 2 in a row. Can they have the same fortunes here? Sebastian Heike. Out of Puerto Rico, one of the best servers on the court this evening. Bone in the back row. The back set. Sherman hit the antenna. Carthage gets the point.
I was a little worried there. They were going to think it hit the antenna after it hit Otto.
Again, 1 point at a time. So Maury is now out. So setting and serving Kolwitz. The junior out of Worthington, Ohio. Lefty back row to Knuckles. Over the middle. Able to clear it. What net presence by Tyler Hoke.
What an effort for the Firebirds there, but not a whole lot you can do on that. You got to send a free ball over. You're going away from the net, so it's going to be close. Great effort there from the Ducks to capitalize on the very enticing opportunity.
Ducks need 2. Carthage needs 5. No tip. And just like that, we are at match point, 14-10.
The unfortunate thing for the Firebirds right now, Cholowinski, the one who's battled them back in this set, on the bench, out of rotation. Last chance effort here for the Firebirds.
Maury. Heist blocked uppercut. Free ball. Over the middle. And that's going to be it. That's going to be all she wrote. Tyler Hoke wills the Ducks 15-10 in the 5th set. Not the outcome you want if you're a Firebirds fan. Valiant comeback. But again, that 1-2 punch for Stevens of Hoke and Sherman showed itself in set number 5. And the serve for Seagame hindered Carthage also in set number 5. Talk us through initial thoughts on this contest.
I mean, obviously, this loss is going to sting. You don't want to see a loss in the column in a game where you battle back like this, but you cannot hang your head on a loss like this. Was everything perfect? No. But after the first 2 sets, this team seemed nowhere near close to being competitive in this game, and the Firebirds rallied back in sets 3 and 4 in a dominant fashion. It just happened to be the team that had played cleaner volleyball for most of the game, figured out their mistakes from 3 and 4 and played just slightly cleaner ball, enough to hold on for a win.
We'll take a timeout. When we come back, the post-game show with head coach J.W. Kiekefer. Don't go anywhere on the Firebird Broadcasting Network. We're here on the post-game show on the Firebird Broadcasting Network. The Ducks take out the Birds in 5. Joining us now, head coach J.W. Kiefer. Coach, I never want to say necessarily moral victories, but your resiliency to come back, push it to 5. Talk us through the overall feel of the team right now after such a close game.
Yeah, not great. I think, what you put out there in set 4 is some pretty elite volleyball. The realistic pace is it's disappointing that we couldn't put it back out there in set 5. Our defense is so good. We block a lot of balls. I mean, Zach Nolan was a rock in serve receive. Dug some bombs by that Kobe Sherman kid throughout the match. Ryan Cholowinski is an absolute animal at the net, touching everything. We got Hudson Schweitzer going offensively there in 4, which was sweet. Kind of got the other team thinking. And we're getting back. We just can't play offense, and we've been talking about it all season. Awesome to see a 500 number there. It's just pretty brutal to follow it up with a 0 number at the end of the 5th set. So I'm really proud of the way Ryan Morey handled the offense. I'm more proud of the way Joe Kolwitz handled himself going to the bench and coming back and bombing some serves off the bench to help us score some points. I'm really proud of Ruben Emmerich, again, to get taken off the 6-2, but getting used in different spaces. He scored on some go balls there, I think in set 3 to get us going, to go block 18. The mental resilience of this group to go down 0-2 and to fight back, produce the volleyball we produced in 3 and 4 was electric. We got to go back and figure out how to play offense, and we knew that coming in. Just a little frustrating with finding it for a little bit and then going away, but we're close. I'm happy to battle this group, and I love this group immensely, and we'll come back better.
Now, you talked about kind of that change after set 2, going down 0-2, that resilience. What was changed, what was said during that break between sets 2 and 3 to really swing the momentum in a way that was drastic enough to force a set 5 down the stretch?
Just going back to believing in who we are as people, right? Resilient people, due to who want to embrace challenges and things being challenging, and not wanting things to come easy, wanting to work to find success, and proving who we are, not settling for mediocrity, but proving who we are. And I thought we proved who we were today. I really did. And I'm so proud of this volleyball team for coming back the way they did. And we just talked about finding Carthage volleyball. Being relentless with the constant energy and effort. And just believing and trusting in that we're good enough to overcome any moment in any space. So, I think the same thing down 4-7 or 4-8 or 4-7. We had a pretty good play with Devin serving there, who did awesome off the bench. Devin O'Callahan to make some plays. Got it back to like 8-6 on the switch and battled late into set 5 and just made too many errors.
Now, Ryan Cholowinski, one of the senior leaders on this team, during set 2, we saw him literally leaning on a teammate, exhausted from how much the Ducks were making him move pin to pin, out to the 10-foot line and back. What does it mean for a guy with his senior leadership to battle through exhaustion and come away and pretty much keep you guys in set 5 the way he did with his blocking and his attacking?
It's important to use the right words in big situations, but it's more important that you have leaders that embody what you're talking about, embody that resilience, embody the relentless nature of what wins in competitive athletics. And our seniors collectively do that, all 5 of them. And you're seeing 3 of them out there doing it, in Ryan Cholowinski, Jack McDonald, and Zach Nolan, and the way they believe in this team and battle for each other and play defense in big moments and find ways to make plays, is pretty awesome. Josiah Flagger-Heron is doing a great job at the bench, helping out his middles, and so is Kyle Stursel. So seniors win, and when people embody that relentless nature, that confidence and trust in each other that we're going to find a way and we're going to just outwork this situation and find creative ways to make comebacks, that's when you go in. And I think Ryan Cholowinski particularly embodies everything we talk about what is Carthage volleyball, and so that's pretty awesome. I'm really proud of that kid.
quick turnaround tomorrow, Coach, for both these teams, but especially you guys. Talk us through what tomorrow's going to look like before you guys tip off at 4.
Yeah, I said to the guys at the end of the match, like, we got to use our competitive nature here tonight and tomorrow morning, and that is who can recover the best, who can drink the most water, who can stretch the most, who can use a Normatec a couple more times, who can eat the right way, who can sleep the most, right? Our competitive needs to push down the recovery side of things and focus on Baldwin Wallace. Like, we don't need to talk about this match any more than any more seconds and give that thing any more air than it is. We got to go win a match against the top 15 team in the country, and Baldwin Wallace is really, really good. That record's not a fluke. They're not a fluke for being ranked that high. Kyle Mars has done an incredible job with that team. A lot of fifth-year guys ready to go, and they're battle tested and experienced. And so we don't get to talk about what just happened. We got to go figure out Baldwin Wallace, and what we're going to do is slow them down on the defensive side. How we're going to make a couple better offensive decisions and a couple better offensive swings to go win a match. And so our competitiveness is on Baldwin Wallace, and what we're going to do is slow them down and how we're going to recover the right way. And so we'll scout. That's really it. We'll scout and stretch tomorrow. Yeah. We're lucky we get the last one of the day, which is cool. And so that's nice. And nice home court advantage when you play these tournaments. You get the last match of the day. So more time to recover. And, again, who can recover the best? That was a challenge there at the end of the locker room speech.
Sounds great. Coach, we'll see you tomorrow. Thank you so much for joining us.
Thanks, guys. Go Birds.
Again, that was head coach J.W. Kiefer. You could tell the emotion he has, the care and love he has for each and every one of these players in this team. There's no easy way around it. They were so close. But the test is now going to be, how do they bounce back from this? Not even physically, as he mentioned, but mentally, emotionally, as we look at some of the final numbers.
Absolutely, and I mean, this game was neck and neck the entire way. You couldn't have asked for a better top 10 matchup here at the Frog Jump Invitational. And Coach Kiefer hit on the head. They made too many mistakes tonight.
Yeah.
They paid the price for it, but they can't hang their heads on it, because out of one battle into a next with Baldwin Wallace tomorrow, fortunate thing for the Firebirds is Baldwin Wallace has to face Stevens right before they play Carthage. So they'll be, again, that battle of recovery. There won't be that recovery time for Baldwin Wallace.
Indeed, as we look at some of the numbers as well, 20-14 the service error differential, but again, multiple service errors in the fifth really didn't help the Firebirds and what they needed to do. The Ducks, 69-57 the digs. They just had those few extra digs. You know what I mean? Whether it was the first set, whether it was the fifth set, those few extra that really made the difference. But
Absolutely.
It was such a pleasure seeing two of the best in the nation go at it this evening. Let's take a look now at what is upcoming for the Firebirds across the plethora of sports. Tomorrow, swimming, 11 o'clock with the Wisconsin Private Colleges meet. Men's volleyball, Stevens versus Baldwin at 1:30. Justin will be on that call, and then our men's volleyball team will take on Baldwin Wallace at 4. Next Wednesday the 5th, women's basketball versus North Central. And Saturday the 8th, the big one, Illinois Wesleyan comes to town for the doubleheader men's and women's basketball. The final broadcast on the Marquee Sports Network, so make sure you tune in for that and get that app ready to go. And again, all games can be found on demand on that app as well. Once again, Stevens and the Ducks take out the Firebirds in 5 thrilling sets. We appreciate you being with us on this Friday evening in Kenosha. Once again, for our staff and crew, for Mike Love, John Voinovich, our producers, Laura Ainsley, Dan and Morgan, the best you can get in the CCIW. This program has been a presentation of Firebird Broadcast Productions and Carthage College, copyright 2025. Once again, for Justin, I'm Peter. We'll see you tomorrow on the Firebird Broadcasting Network.